Hello everybody, so for this video I just wanted to do a relatively easy and simple video, and I'm just going to be breaking down this song, which currently serves as the opening for my stream over at twitch.tv/themelodicminer. So go check that out if you are interested in gaming content. But I figured I'd break down this song, show you guys some of my thought processes when I'm recording music, and I'll try to delve into what I was thinking when I wrote the song. Quick couple things to note. The song is not the best performed. I didn't do a great job performing the song when I recorded it, so there's going to be quite a few mistakes. And then the second thing to note is that the song was designed with the intention of it being in a video game soundtrack. I don't know if that's still the plan or not, but I figured it's a great song to break down anyway. And before we get into the actual breakdown of the song, I just wanted to let you guys know that my next couple of videos, the first one will be music theory related, so look forward to that. If you are a little bit lost on music theory, I'll give some tips there. And the second one, I actually want your guys' help with. I figured it would be kind of fun to do a video showcase of me learning a song by ear. So if you have a song that you want me to learn by ear, let me know, and I'll try my best to learn it, and that might be in the video. So, but yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna play the full song all the way through, and then we're gonna start breaking it down. So you may have noticed that song is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's meant to be part of a video game soundtrack. This first half with the piano here, this is like area music, so it's kind of just meant to be in the background, kind of droney, kind of moody. And then this part right here is for a boss fight. And then this descending of the, I believe the song is in G sharp harmonic minor. I'm not 100% sure. Forgive me, I don't remember my scales right now. Yeah, this like descending part here would just be like entering the boss room or something. So a lot of it is kind of moody, but that does go into some songwriting in the sense that your song is kind of meant to tell a story. So you don't want to just rely on vocals and lyrics to tell your story. You want the music to help tell that story. Or you can do it even better and just have the music tell the story and the vocals just work as your top line. But yeah, nothing too crazy to break down in terms of the first part of the song with that piano. It's just kind of hitting this E flat minor. So that's just kind of the first, fifth, and then the octave. And if we are in E minor. And that's basically all that's doing, is just going through that over and over again. Then we get to that little motif there. Basically just the G sharp harmonic minor, I believe. We do get a little bit funky with our chord choices in that part. At some point we go to a B and an E, but we still have that E flat under all of that. So it adds a little bit of tension and a little bit of an unease to that chord progression. I'll play this beginning part again so you can hear that. Yeah, right there. So it just adds a little bit of tension and makes it sound creepy and eerie and unpleasant. Normally you wouldn't hear chords like that because it's super dissonant. There might be a technical name for that chord, but I don't know it. But that's basically everything notable. At one point we do hit the E to E flat to D and then back to E flat. Kind of playing with the motif that is dominant later in the song. Yeah, so we already know that motif. We're gonna skip ahead here because we don't really need to hear that piano again. And I'm gonna solo these three up here, which are just sounds from my keyboard. Just for reference, most of the sounds in the song are MIDI, unfortunately. I would love to hire an actual orchestra to play this, but I don't have that kind of money. So yeah, mostly samples, but yeah, we'll do these three from the audio from my keyboard. Like I said, sloppy performances all around. I need to re-record a lot of the instrumentation in this song, but hopefully you guys will get the idea. So for that, pan I think it's just in the middle, is basically just repeating this piano part here, but with a lot of a drier sound, so there's not as much reverb. Yeah, there's no reverb. But yeah, that's pretty nice and dandy. It doesn't do it completely. A trend you'll notice as we go through the song is all of the parts are kind of playing the same thing, but they'll just kind of randomly drop out. I'm not sure why I recorded it like that, but it's kind of cool. I don't remember that I did record a lot of these parts a long time ago, so I probably just thought it sounded good. But here we're going to get to the left, which is just like some tremolo, cello playing, I think. Yeah, and that's just playing that E flat, that E flat minor chord. I'm gonna start doing it an octave up, and since I'm moving away from my mic. But yeah, that's all that's doing, pretty much. And then we have the actual motif on panned all the way to the right with these strings. So if you'll notice, they're only hitting that E flat, once. But otherwise, they're just playing that motif. And then it just repeats. This song, I think, is a pretty good example. There's probably better examples out there, but this is a pretty good example of one of my songs that builds via layers rather than actually changing the song. Because basically all of these parts are just repeating over and over again throughout this entire second half of the song. But let's go down here. We got this part, which is just the piano. It's basically the same timbre as the one from earlier in the song. And we just have it over here. A little bit brighter, maybe not as dark, but it's very, very similar. Actually, I think I'm playing that an octave up. I'm playing the motif an octave up, but I'm not playing the left-hand part an octave up. So that's just kind of playing through the motif. And then we're going to go down here, and we got a cello part. I believe this is panned hard to the left. Quick production note, utilize panning. And don't try to balance everything, so that way all the time there's going to be signal from the right and the left at equal volumes. You want it to be a little bit more interesting than that. So don't be too picky about having like a balanced mix. You want some balance to where, you know, it's not just all left all the time. But yeah, it makes it more interesting if things are kind of shifting and moving around in stereo. But this cello part, really crappy timbre to be honest, but it's also just playing the motif. Yeah, really sloppily too. But there's that. And then we move forward a bit, and it looks like there's more cellos. This is also playing the motif. It's just a tremolo, though, sample, and it's panned hard right. And then contrabs. I think this is panned left. Oh, it's center. I suppose I could actually look at my my board here. Okay, and then we got viola. So this one's really weird. It does occasionally an octave or like 2 octaves above those lower notes. Let me go back a bit. It kind of just randomly cuts out. I assume that was just a me failing to perform it correctly issue. But then, after all the instruments build, it switches to the octave in between those 2 octaves it was playing before. And then as we progress through the song, it switches back to those 2 octaves. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm not sure why I did that. It could have been to allow some more tension to build and to build the song better by having things dynamically drop in and out. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a cool idea, so I think I'll probably, when I re-record all the instruments, I'll probably keep the same idea and just play it a little bit cleaner. Well, not a little bit cleaner, a lot bit cleaner. And then let's go to this. I think this is just doing the same thing. It's doing the same thing, but an octave down, and then it does the same thing where it switches to the octave in between those 2. So nothing too crazy there. Then we got violins here. So that's kind of doing the same thing, except it's not. These first parts here aren't 2 octaves apart, or are they even 2 octaves apart here? Yeah, okay. So instead of being 2 octaves apart, down here they're just 1 octave apart. So that's pretty cool. And then I think these are doing the same thing. Yeah, that's just basically the same thing, except an octave down by the looks of it. And let's go to the flute here. This is panned hard left. And since we have a lot of bright sounding violins over to the right, I wanted something bright on the left as well. This is also just playing the motif. A lot of that low end stuff is being handled by like the cello up here, cello here, contrabass, whatever. As well as the guitars, bass down here, guitars and bass down here. Sorry. Okay, so that's all of the like more orchestral or. So that's all of the orchestral parts right there. Let's get into the guitars. So I'm just gonna solo the 2 rhythm guitars here. Gonna skip ahead a bit. So it's just doing the same thing as everything else, but it's also doing the low end parts as well, doing that E flat minor. But something to note. So obviously this is doubled. Now, when you double anything, it's very tempting to just say, okay, well, I've done the performance once. Let's pretend this track right here, this guitar track doesn't exist. It's really easy and tempting to say, well, I've already done it once, I just plan on having them play the same thing, so why don't I just grab this and copy paste it down to a new track and then just pan that hard right, because I have the other one panned hard left. But listen what happens to the sound. So I'll play it like I just did it. Okay, so there's like the copy pasted version. Now let's play it with a second performance. The one with the second performance sounds significantly better. It sounds broader, it sounds fuller, and it just sounds better. Now, this isn't like a snobby, like, oh, well, it takes no skill to copy paste sort of deal. It actually improves the sound quality if you do a second performance and just do the performance very tightly. I don't know why that is, but doing it, copy pasting it, just ruins the sound and everything. It sucks. I wish I could be lazier, but that's what you got to do. So from there, we also have a couple lead parts, one playing an octave up from these 2 rhythm tracks here, and then one playing 2 octaves up that comes in later. This is, again, just increasing the layers to help build the dynamic so that way it doesn't get too stale. We also have a little bit of guitar feedback here, so I'll play it with the drums. So right there, you could hear the feedback coming from one of the tracks. As well as that second octave. And then a few times later, we get to where this third octave comes in. So again, just using layers to increase the tension and the dynamics of it rather than changing the how the song sounds or changing the writing or anything like that. Of course, changing the writing is a perfectly viable way to do this as well. I would argue in most cases for actual songs that aren't meant for like a soundtrack, changing the tension and feel of it via new chords or something like that is a better way of doing it. But for a soundtrack, this is pretty good. I think this works very nicely for this particular song. And since for like a boss fight, you want a very consistent rhythm and you don't want the song to change too much. We're going to talk about drums now. The drums are really the only thing that change consistently throughout this. It's still a very simple rhythm, a very simple pattern, but it changes some of what it does, and I'll show you what I mean by that. For the sake of this, I'm also going to go ahead and turn down all of these right here. I still want to hear them, but we're going to turn them down so that way you hear the drums better. So there we go from an open hi-hat to a ride sound. Still holding that same beat though. We hit that hi-hat in between those ride hits just for a little bit of extra flair to it. It's not super noticeable in the full track, but it adds a little bit of extra, I think. Back to the hi-hat here. A little bit of a double kick in snare action there to bring us back into the ride. We got that hi-hat again. And now we're into a crash, just hitting nice and slowly, just very aggressive. It's very simple, very easy to play, but it's super aggressive and really makes the song hit home. And now we switch which crash we're hitting. A little bit of double kick again, just to bring us out to that final note there, finishing off the song. So a big part of what I was thinking when I was writing this song was obviously what would be good background music for like a boss fight or an area. So obviously the writing style is quite different in that regards, but some of the same principles apply. Using layering to increase the dynamic and make it feel a little bit heavier as the song goes on, even if you're playing the same thing, because if you were just playing the same thing, imagine how boring it would be if we got rid of those two lead guitars here and the drum stayed on the hi-hat. I'll try to demonstrate that. So obviously it's a little bit finicky since I'm doing a loop, but imagine if that was it for the entire song and you had no extra layers. So the layering just kind of helps bring out the dynamic in a song that's kind of meant to be more in the background and repetitive. Like I said earlier, in an actual song, not for a game or anything like that, it would be a good idea to increase the dynamic via interesting chord choices or interesting chord changes, or maybe a different melody or something like that to kind of keep it interesting and keep listeners invested in what is happening in the song. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.